Very important question. Did you burn your tongue on the French onion soup this time?
No, I did
Honestly,
not.
I really truly cannot believe that you actually ordered it again after being traumatized by it last time. Like that was like a near fight that we had.
Well, it's one of those everybody raves about it, so I have like I'm I guess a glutton for pain that I was like, let me try it. Like I have to love it because everybody else loves it. So
Did you love it?
it was all right. It was okay.
Oh, okay. Well, should we actually talk about
It's because you can't have expectations. I was like, you can't give me expectations. I have expectations, and it's not gonna
it
live
was
up to those.
the first time I had it was the best soup ever, and I raved about it for like almost a year. And then finally, when you had the chance to have it, I was like, "You have to have." I made you order it,
Yeah,
and then you burned your tongue, and it was all downhill. I can't believe you did it though. I'm very like, look at that,
I
look at
don't know.
us.
Yeah, look at us.
But should we talk about the cruise?
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this. Welcome to Princess and Scoundrel, where we take you along our scrappily ever after from Fantasyland to Tatooine to Utopia of the Seas. I'm Sarah,
And I'm Steven.
and is my voice a little scratchy?
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I feel fine.
I feel like you're giving me a little bit more bass.
Hey, I feel fine. I think I just talked a lot all weekend and didn't sleep. So I think my voice
it's because
is
you're
like
like hosting
"Please."
an event, so you're kind of like
You
giving
talk.
orders. Do this, do that. Have fun.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Did you?
I didn't. You were the one telling me what to do. So
You had fun. Don't even.
okay, I had
Don't.
fun.
You
I had
had
fun.
so much fun.
My hands are up. I had fun. Sorry.
I admit defeat. It was so much fun. So okay, let's do a little kind of setting the scene for what it is that we're talking about. We did just get off of
It's a recap.
a recap. So we just got off of what we called the Good Journey Cruise. Last year we called it the Wish Upon a Star Cruiser. I feel like going forward we're just going to call it Good Journey because that was one of the phrases they used on Star Cruiser. But essentially what it is a group trip, group vacation for people who loved or wanted to go on Star Cruiser. Last year when we did it, it was barely like 6 months after Star Cruiser had officially closed. We had a huge group of people. We went on the Disney Wish, and we picked that ship specifically for a lot of reasons we'll get into.
But it wasn't intended to be because it was like shortly after it closed, but it wasn't intended to be that way because when it was still open, we were planning on doing an annual everybody converges on Star Cruiser type of thing
On May the 4th.
on May the 4th.
Yeah. And so we were planning on that. I literally had like a group form out there for
The next,
what was it, 2024, May the 4th. And it was like a week after I had put out the interest list that Star Cruiser announced its closure. And so we're like, okay, we have to pivot. So we spent that time before it closed figuring out what to do. We came up with the Disney Wish. And we'll get into kind of the pros and cons of it later, but the essence of it and the essence of the whole trip and this whole conversation is more about your people and traveling with those people that are like-minded and getting to build these communities. And I feel like we're a broken record talking about communities.
that's exactly what I was gonna say. It's
You're like,
it's,
please stop.
Well, it's
Let's
it's
talk
the
about
thing
French
that
onion soup.
we always try to like really like focus on it like on this channel and like through our experiences is these shared experiences. We talked about it last year or beginning of this year. Yeah,
Last
year.
episode we were talking
Well, no,
about
talking, like third spaces and
yeah.
we were talking about just doing these kind of different events.
Right.
And I think that's the thing that we try to like being able to connect with these, and all these things that we do is to connect with different people and being able to, find these common interests and again, connect with people.
And I think it was something that I don't necessarily think that Disney realized they were doing when they started the Star Cruiser, was building this massive community of people that loved it and felt changed by that experience. And so when it went away, we and others in the community kind of took it upon ourselves to try to find ways to keep that community strong. And we love to travel. But going somewhere that's outside of your typical element, where you're not sleeping in your own bed and you have all of the boring stuff to do. You don't have dishes to do, or laundry or anything like that, and you're in a different space and you're in a shared space together as one. You get to let go more. You get to have more fun. And so really the vision for doing what we're now calling the Good Journey trips is creating space for people to be themselves in a way that they felt like they got to be on Star Cruiser. And here's where it gets tricky is there were only so many people that ever experienced Star Cruiser, and there will only ever be that amount of people. Nobody else will experience Star Cruiser in the way that we did during the 18 months that it was open.
Yeah.
It's a finite amount of people. And I noticed on this one in particular, we had more people on this trip that had never been on Star Cruiser but were curious about it. Whereas last year, I think it was almost entirely people that had been on it. And so it's interesting to me, the shift of that. Like maybe some people are celebrating their Star Cruiser community in other ways.
Yeah.
And other people are like, well, it just seems like a fun place to go hang out and be with people. And even though I never got to go, I want to see what it's about. So I thought that was like an interesting shift that we had.
Well, and I mean, I think it's kind of, it's interesting in that way where now the story is being told not through its original, format of it being a Star Cruiser hotel and having this 3-day, like now it's being told by the people that did go,
like around the fireplace, right?
Yeah. So it's going to be like this fairy tale that people are going to start telling, and then it'll either grow or diminish from there.
Yeah.
But I think that's an interesting way to look at it is now we're separated this, one generation of people that actually went to it and people that haven't.
Right.
And these people that haven't are going to start to, there may be even new people now finding these conversations and saying, oh, what was this? And going back and looking at it.
The lure of the house again. Yeah. So last year we did the Disney Wish, and the reason that we did that one, like I said, it was a smaller itinerary. It's 3-night sailing over a weekend, and it's the only ship in the Disney fleet that had any kind of Star Wars thing, which was the Hyperspace Lounge. A term I'll use loosely. I think it's amazing. They have this huge screen back behind the bar, and
but I mean, we killed, like the group killed it as far as like.
I'm so proud.
Showing up for the Wish. So
sold out on like the Kyber Crystal, the coaxium drinks,
the big drink.
All the big fancy drinks that could be purchased there. I think they probably. I think I actually heard somewhere that we sold, like we hit records with what we sold or bought on that trip, but then I'm guessing that lounge had not been that busy since it first, like the ship first started sailing a year and a half before. So I'm very proud of us for the things we accomplished there. But this year we decided to make it a little different. And there's a multitude of reasons why, and we'll get into that. But this year we decided to go on a completely different cruise line, Royal Caribbean. And we did Utopia of the Seas. So we tried to keep things very similar. So it wasn't like a complete about face from what we did before, because we had to take, like, there's psychological things that have to be studied about the Star Cruiser community, at least for me, when it comes to like, how do we put together a trip that people will actually want to go on, right? We can't go back to Star Cruiser, but Star Cruiser was a 2-night simulated cruise on Disney property. And so the next best thing to me was a 3-night sailing on a Disney cruise ship, right? It's as close as we're going to get to what we had. With the same level of service and just being familiar with what to kind of expect, even if you've never been on a real cruise before. There were challenges. We'll get into the challenges of what we saw there. But at least for me, it seemed like the next logical step was to try to find something that fit our diverse needs of this group better. And moving away from a Disney cruise was the way to go. We had a lot of challenges last year, and they were all like logistical challenges. It wasn't anything to do with the people that were there.
let's talk about that right now, or are we?
Yeah, well, no, let's talk about the diverse needs.
I mean, I think the thing is, the big factor that we picked the Wish was because there was a Star Wars bar. There's
Right.
cargo bay, which is in the kids area. So if open house, you could go look at it, but other than that, you can't really get in there.
Right.
But here's the bar.
Right. Also a 3-night sailing, and it sails out of Port Canaveral, which is an hour and a half from
Yeah.
Disney.
So, well, but those were the big things that we wanted about it. However, afterwards, the hyperspace lounge, I don't think gave that full feeling of what Star Cruiser, what like Sublight Lounge was, or just Star Cruiser was. Like it gave us like a small taste of it, but it still wasn't the feeling that we felt. And then I think people noticed that it was being able to connect with our fellow passengers. That was the part that was more, it felt more like Star Cruiser than this the
setting
the
that
setting.
we're in.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that's why we started, okay, let's look at what and the other hurdle was we didn't have any space.
That was the biggest hurdle,
Yeah.
I feel like, is that we had no dedicated space to actually meet. And so you can't say, let's all go on a group cruise and then not organize
We can't do anything.
events where we can all hang out together as one. How many times am I going to say that in this episode?
It's gonna be a
no,
lot.
that's it. I'm done.
Okay, no, I don't. I'm
Let's do a
get
tally.
your drinks ready because you're gonna be saying or drinking a lot.
But we can't just say let's all go on the same cruise together and then
No, we can.
You
It worked.
can.
I think that's the thing is like it worked. It was great because again, that we thought it was missed because we didn't have those dedicated times to just hang out.
right.
We made it work,
some-
but I think that's the thing is like we made it work, and that's how great everybody is like we will find a way to do the things.
Right.
So I think it was a hurdle, but we were still able to accomplish it.
Right. Because like the first day we did like a little, it was meant to just be like an intro. I don't even think we put out like a swag swap out there. I think we said like, let's just meet in what we call it on every ship, the atrium, and take a group photo at this time.
Is it called the atrium?
No, yeah, on the Wish, it's the Grand Hall.
Okay.
But we said, let's just take a group photo. And so we had a lot more group photos planned for that, which is also just like herding cats. And because we didn't have like dedicated space, it was almost like it was nearly impossible to like, we had to pivot really quickly every time we tried to get together as a group.
Yeah.
We met in the Grand Hall. I did not, on paper, I realized it, and I've said it 100 times probably, but I didn't realize that there was almost 200 people in the group. And so when I turned around and everybody showed up for this group photo, I was like, oh my God, I was not expecting this. Like we've got to figure out a better way to do this. And so we had a few other things where we wanted to take group photos like on the beach, and we wanted to just kind of like get together and hang out. And some people wanted to do like trivia and meditation and all these things, but we didn't, because you don't know the itinerary, like the actual like the schedule of activities that the ship is going to do and where they're going to do it. You can't say meet here at this time.
You're at the mercy of Disney.
You're at the mercy of Disney.
Yeah.
So that was the biggest drawback of the Wish. And then also just like on the logistics side of booking a group.
A group cruise that's not a group.
Yeah, we didn't book officially into a group because there were just no benefits to the people that were coming on it.
Yeah.
And there were no like added benefits for us to try to do it that way. Like it wasn't like, oh, it'll be easier if you do it as a group.
Yeah.
It was actually more difficult to do it as a group. So I was like, forget it. I booked everybody individually. But so those were the hurdles that we needed to figure out. And that's why we ultimately went with Royal Caribbean this time.
Well, these were the criteria. Like for me, I was like, we need space.
Yeah.
You know, I said it. You heard me say it a whole bunch of times. I was like, we need space, like a dedicated space to have, even if it's like one or two events.
Right.
Just like us to get together and just be able to, as one day, take another drink, but get together. And I think that was like my main criteria. I think you wanted to switch it up to see, well, you knew that Royal had conference space. And then you're like, you know what? Let's try a Royal because it was a newer ship.
Right.
So we're like, okay, let's try it. You know, try to switch it up and see. Try this different aspect of it.
Right. Well, that, and then also the other cruise lines just handle groups better, and they give incentives for groups, and it's not like incentives that I got. It's incentives that go back to the guests. And that for me was big. Cuz we were able to do a lot more, and it didn't like it we were able to do so much more than what we were able to do last year, and it was all planned out, and we didn't have to like scramble as much.
Yeah.
We had some things where we had to scramble, but so it was trying to fit the needs of the group and what it is that the group is kind of becoming. And so that's why we picked that ship. Now, let's talk about communicating on the ship. So we last year we struggled with that as well, because when you're on a cruise ship, you don't have phone service
Yep.
unless you buy the Wi-Fi package, but even then I don't think regular texts come through. I can't remember.
It's spotty too.
It's spotty. Like my email this last weekend, my email didn't work like at all the whole weekend, and I was living in bliss. And then I came back on land. I was like, oh my god. But like on Disney, if you don't buy the Wi-Fi package, like iMessage and WhatsApp will work. But how do you communicate? Like, hey, we're actually not able to meet in the space we thought we were going to be able to. There's something else there. We need to come meet over here instead. So it was tricky. From our side, I send out anything that was official for both of them. I would send out a group email. Here's the pertinent information you need to know. And then this year I actually created, I didn't create the app, but I created a trip within, like a trip planning app. So everybody could go in there, see the itinerary of things that we scheduled or that people told us that they wanted to do. Because that was the other part. Last year we had a Facebook group. I put out there the schedule of events as like calendar events, but then other people added their things, but then some of those things didn't happen. It was just kind of like, well, wait, what's actually doing
happening, yeah,
and what aren't we? So there was confusion on actual like official communications. So I was like, I'm just gonna create this trip in this app, and there's group chats in there. So if you have the Wi-Fi, great. If you don't, you can download a copy of the itinerary, and then we had the itinerary printed out at every one of the events, so people could snap a photo and know where to show up and when. So I think we learned from that one, which was great. And we're sharing all of this for like anybody that wants to organize a group trip, because we've learned a lot of lessons. But then also there was like a Facebook Messenger chat that some of the passengers made for this trip, and then you can also send messages within the Royal Caribbean app, which that I never got that one to work. I could not figure it out.
Yeah, it's because like you have to connect. You have to go in there and connect and stuff like that.
So communication, it was tough, but I think we figured out how to make it work on this one.
Yeah,
work better.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still have some things to get around, but let's talk about some of the other unexpected challenges that we faced.
Yeah, tell me.
Let's talk about so one of the cool things we did on this one, which was not an unexpected challenge, is we got to have a private cocktail reception for the whole group. So we got to rent out what they called the music hall, which is a beautiful venue, and everybody got to dress in like Star Cruiser wear.
I think that was definitely, I knew it was happening, but I think I was pleasantly surprised by it.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was just going to be like, maybe if I felt it was going to be smaller. I was like, oh, I still feel like we were a small group. So I thought they were going to give us like a small area.
Yeah.
But this is like the actual music hall where it's like a full bar.
They play like bingo and music and all kinds of
it's
stuff.
It's like the whole thing, and you could see the whole back of the shit. Like there's a big window and everything like that. So it was like, it's super cool and like, fancy looking.
Yeah.
And we had just kind of like the whole area for us.
And it was fun because the theme that night was white. So everybody wore, like everybody on the ship wore
but
white.
Again, it was like just like everybody on Star Cruiser. It was like they took you saw everybody's creativity, because there was like them taking these bounds of like these characters, or they're taking their characters and doing like a mishmash of like more real world, but still kind of like galactic feel.
Yeah.
Like it was just like they're still pumping out that creative
It
juices.
was
So
beautiful. So everybody showed up in like their galactic best. Like we had a Twi'lek, Wani showed up. Like we had
yeah.
some amazing costumes in there. We hired a photographer and then we paid to have all of the photos from that event put onto a USB drive that we would then get to pick up. And we had this grand plan because we on the last day we did yearbook signings to we bought like a little mini printer that prints out like tiny little stickers, and we were going to print out all the photos and have them for people. Well, I didn't realize because they were like, yeah, pick it up tomorrow. I was like, oh, okay, no problem. But it was the perfect day at Coco Cay. And so like the ship's just not open. Everybody's off the ship. And so it didn't open to pick up the thing until like 4, I think. And our yearbook signing was at 5. And this tiny little printer, let me tell you, I'm surprised that thing didn't like combust.
Well, I think
it worked so hard.
well, because like one, it's pretty much like a digital Polaroid or printer, right?
It's like a Polaroid printer, yeah.
But printing one, it's fine. But I think if you're wanting to print multiples, which is what you were, I think, intending,
yeah,
it overheats. Like it just like overheats. It's slow. It goes super slow. So again, it was just more of like a logistics. Like you have to test it, and you've realized now. But and then also too, there at the beginning. So it was intended for this yearbook that you wanted to put together, which was inspired by Sherry from last year because it was one specifically for you. So everybody signed it, kind of like a thank you card.
Yeah, they just got like a blank book and then
but I think
had people sign it.
And I don't know, like I think there was there wasn't an understanding of how to make it work, which I also got confused because I was like, okay, if we get a picture, am I putting my picture or am I putting your picture and sign like it was a little bit of confusion. So I was like, I think if there's a next one, for the next one, it's more of like, here, let's do a better idea of a yearbook.
Right, which I wanted to do. I had every intention of like getting people to submit pictures of themselves and doing a full yearbook. The problem is I didn't really start working on it in earnest until like 3 weeks before the cruise. And I'm like, there's no way I'm going to get everybody to submit a picture and design this and get it printed and created and shipped to me in time to then bring it on the ship.
Yeah.
So we had to pivot, and I was like, I'm just going to buy this little printer. So we had
to get it like whenever they sign up.
I'm literally going to be like, I will not book you if I don't have a picture of you. Or it's just going to be like silhouettes
but
of like
that's the
Gaia
thing. But then there's the
Wani
people that went and then people that didn't go.
I know, but if it's just like a Star Wars picture of you or just like a picture that you like I don't care. I don't care that
Galaxy's Edge type one.
Whatever you want. You in your backyard with a lightsaber or a droid. Like I'm happy with whatever makes other people happy. But yeah, that one was a
little bit of but the thing was like it was like confusion, but then I think everybody went with it. And
everybody was
ended
so
up being like,
chill.
Yeah.
It was amazing how chill and just like go with the flow everybody was. And it helped me because I was very stressed before all of these events. And I think that was another thing that a big learning for me and a big learning for anybody else planning group travel is you can't do it all yourself. Like our very first event was the swag swap. And so we had put together bags and little goodies to go in the bags, but we didn't pre-pack them because it would have been too difficult to pack all of them and then
get it on the ship.
Bring them on the ship. They just would have taken up more space. So we waited until people were coming in, and then I had the manifest, and I'm like crossing people off to make sure that I handed out one to everybody and who I needed to track down. But because I was having to do that and then handing out things, and you're out like mingling and trying to get people to like, you know, do the swag swap and come in, and you're working the music and everything. I'm there by myself, and I didn't realize that people are coming into the room. And I know there's like some kind of a line. And then my sister-in-law, Cheryl, who runs the travel agency I'm with, and another travel agent that came with her, they like come busting in like 15 minutes into the thing. They're like, you need help. There's a long line out there. People are so confused. And I was like, oh, okay. And so they came and they sat down on either side of me and they were passing things out to everybody. And it went much smoother after that. But when you're doing something like this, like you have to rely on other people to do it, to help you. Because yeah, it was a lot. The whole weekend was a lot of work for both of us, but I didn't realize that I was trying to take on more than I could handle. which I think that's another learning of mine in general. But yeah, I thought to me those were the biggest hurdles. Is just try not to overdo it. Try to do as much as
Yeah.
you can beforehand to make it run smoothly.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think, yeah, it's those were the hurdles, but I think as far as the successes of the weekend, it was having a space was super nice because we each got to like there was points where I don't I think other than our last day there I don't think everybody was in there at one time. And that was the whole point. It was like there wasn't everybody had to be there type of thing.
Right.
It was just
Everybody came for the swag swap,
they
but
were
it
in
was
and
like
out.
in and out because
Yeah.
some people had booked like that immersive Royal Railway dinner, and so they had to leave early for that. But there was like almost, I think, all but one cabin showed up at some point
Yeah.
because I was literally like marking names. But then we did trivia the next day, and there was a good show out for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then people just like lingered, and that was nice too, is because we were the only people in those conference rooms. Is like we didn't have a strict like you have to
Get
stop
out.
at
Yeah.
this point time, and so that was really nice. But the other part of it, like you're saying, is just people just accepted each other, whether they had voyaged together or they hadn't, whether there were people there that had never gone on Star Cruiser. Everybody just got along, and it was amazing. One of the things that Royal did better than what we had last year is we got to all sit in the same area of the dining room.
Yeah.
Now, there were logistics issues with that. I think that was one of the other big like unexpected challenges is they split up couples that were in the same room and put
Yeah.
them at
That
different
was
tables.
well, but I think too, like so that was weird, but then also too unexpectedly because there is other places to eat, and because you're in groups, sometimes almost full tables other than one person is left at a
Yeah.
table because they're eating at one of the dinners type of thing. So it's kind of like you don't know that's going to happen until you actually show up.
Yeah.
So
That part of it was strange, but we can mitigate that. Like I know how to mitigate that for next year. But yeah, there were just some weird things like that. But the fact that the whole community came together, and I think the fact that we did have multiple cabins sitting at tables that maybe they hadn't planned to sit together or they didn't know each other also helped to build that feeling of community across people that maybe you didn't know coming into this trip. So I really did like that. But then also like the group just kind of they would find places to go and hang out. So like last year on the Wish, a lot of people would just hang out at the Hyperspace Lounge, and that was just the go-to place for people. Like if you were bored and you needed to go find some Star Cruiser people, you went to the Hyperspace Lounge.
yeah,
On this one, there wasn't one dedicated
yeah,
place, and I think that's maybe a downside. But some people hung out in the solarium, which is the adults only section, and they would just gravitate towards that. Some people would go hang out in the tiki bar or the what was the other one? We ended up at the Schooner bar. Schooner? I don't know how to say that word now that I've said it out loud. I'm terrified. I know I said it wrong. But yeah, just finding I think that was the one thing is there was no like central location to gather.
yeah. Like when you're on the like
Yeah.
just in the ship roaming and stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, that was the big thing. So, let's go through kind of the pros and cons of each of the ships and the group. Because the group we had last year on the Wish was massive.
Yeah,
And the ship itself is great. It's Disney's biggest cruise ship, but it's also still a fairly small cruise ship. So you did run into each other a lot more, I felt like, on that ship because
Yeah.
there were less public spaces.
yeah. I mean, I think the big reason why you would run into each other too is there was a more limited amount of things to do as far as shows and like activities.
Trivia and yeah.
Because if you were doing something, it was again everybody kind of going to these different locations, and
Right.
the way the itinerary is like they have it pretty much like you go from one thing to the other. So there's more opportunities to hang out together, whereas this one is like rock climbing and slides and
Yeah.
dry slides and wet slides and
I would say on the Wish it wasn't more opportunities to hang out together, it was more opportunities to end up in the same place
Yeah.
unexpectedly. Whereas with the Royal Caribbean, or with Utopia specifically, there's just so much to do.
Yeah.
And I think that could be a con because, and I don't know how it is
Well,
for
but
people
again,
that
it's
were
like
just on.
I think it's kind of it's a pro and a con because you have the dedicated time to hang out and you hang out to for that limited time,
Yeah.
but you could also go and do your own thing.
Yeah. This one to me actually felt more like a Star Cruiser voyage in that there was so much to do all the time. And like there's only so many public spaces on
Yeah.
Star Cruiser where everybody's either sitting together at dinner or they're in the sublight lounge or they're there for like muster or whatever. That it was, but there's so much to do. So much to do all of the time that you leave the cruise and you're like, well, I didn't really get to do all the things I really wanted to do. Like I wanted to go spend more time in the engineering room, or for me personally, you wanted to do Flow Rider and like do the surfing simulation. We wanted to spend time in the solarium, and we didn't have time to do that.
Yeah.
And I think for us, partly it was because we were having to like set up and run around and coordinate a lot more.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see what other people think of how the pacing of this one went, because it's a huge ship. It was funny enough. Was it when we were at Nassau? Yeah, it was the day we were docked at Nassau. The Wish and Utopia were there. We were separated by I think a Carnival ship. But the Wish looked tiny in comparison to the Utopia.
Yeah.
So I I love this ship. It's the second time we've been on Utopia of the Seas. It just to me feels like a 3-night sailing is too short to truly experience everything. We didn't go to a single nighttime show. Like there was just too much to do.
Yeah. No, I mean, which is it's a good thing. Like you're keeping busy. You want to go back and do
Yeah.
other things. So
I will say that I do think Disney does a better job of entertaining you at dinner because you have like
yeah,
the Avengers dinner.
I think that's what I was saying. Like when we were coming home, I was like, as far as dinners, I think I enjoy the Disney dinners better.
Do you
Yeah,
really?
like I think
Food wise or because of the
I
entertainment?
think both.
But remember the Frozen dinner?
Yeah,
Not
but
actual Frozen, like Arendelle Frozen.
no, I mean, I don't know. I just it felt stale. Like we were talking about that. I got the French onion soup, and I felt I had to get it because I tried all the other things
Yeah.
because it's like I could eat, you know,
They have
the
steak on the menu every
steak.
night. They have spaghetti on the
Yeah.
menu.
So I was like, there's like
Yeah.
the same things, just a chicken done a different way.
Yeah.
I was just like, all right, I guess I'll do, you know, yeah, I could only eat shrimp cocktail so many times. So I think that was why I tried the French onion soup, which it's for context. The story that Sarah was talking about was she was talking it up that
When I
French
went
onion
on the
soup is the best
Icon,
ever. You need to try it. It's the best, the best, the best.
I had it every night on the
And
Icon.
I was kind of like, I think I've had it French onion soup before. I don't remember it being so great, but maybe they've done something, put an extra spice or something that
I talked it.
tastes
I
so
talked it
great.
up so big. I was like, your life's gonna change when you have this. You'll crave it.
I go in scalding. This is like the fires of Mordor, hot. Burns my tongue, down my throat, the worst. So one strike immediately.
Immediately.
So
Dinner ruined.
let me push it away, let it cool down. And I wait and I wait and I wait. And because it's a 2-layer thick of cheese on top, I try to like cut through it with
Try to cut the cheese.
I try to cut the cheese with a spoon and splatter of,
I forgot that happened.
and so it just gets me entirely like with this brown brown liquid. And I think it was like we were wearing light colored, like I was probably wearing light pants. So I was like, I'm done. I'm never eating French onion soup again. So,
and then you did.
And again, I did. So,
and it was good.
it was
good.
it was it was
Oy.
no better than I had remembered before. but
It was
I ate
delicious.
it.
I had it every opportunity I could. I loved it.
I did go to sleep early that night because my stomach
Get you
hurt.
a little cheesy belly.
So that's probably why I probably got sick from the French onion soup.
All right. Moving on.
That was a big hurdle.
So
Was the French onion soup?
so I think the last thing really was just talking about the group activities like between the two. And we I think
Yeah.
we've kind of run through that. We had a lot more group photos planned last year when we did it.
But I think the reason why was because like here it was the times that we could actually get together. Like because you didn't have a space,
There was no
right?
well, no, we
And
did.
so and the other thing too is like on this one we created a an album for it so people could add photos to it. So
Yeah.
again, it was like we were more prepared for this one, and it wasn't just like, oh, everybody's here at once, let's take a picture.
Yeah.
And even though we planned it, but that's what it felt like. It was like, okay, everybody's here, let's take a photo.
Right.
You know, we're watching fireworks. Okay, everybody's here, let's take a photo. Like it was, even though again those were planned, it felt more like spur of the moment. Whereas this one was like, okay, we're all gonna be together at these, and if you're not, don't worry about it. Take your pictures,
Everything was
add it
optional.
there.
Yeah, everything was optional. But the only time we did a group photo was at the Outer Rim Regalia, just because we had a photographer.
Yeah.
We were paying for him. But another thing, like you don't really want to take a group photo of like 80 people in a conference room on like the lower decks of a cruise ship. Like the room itself was really nice. Like we had great space. We had like we brought in like little snacks for some of the events and like it was really good, but it just wasn't conducive to taking group photos. And I also feel like the group photos took much longer last year than I thought they were going to, just because you're corralling people and trying to figure out like where do you stand? Oh, that's not going to work because they're shutting this down for whatever. So we got to do it over here. I don't know. It felt like unnecessary stress, especially like the one that we took on the beach last year, because like trying to figure out
Well,
where do you go meet for that.
and I think on that, but I don't think it was because of the picture. I think, and again, this is where the people that go on it, there we have varying groups of people.
Yeah.
You know, we have like just adults and they'd like to do adult things. We have people that have families that do family things. We have in the middle, you know, some people like to do the high end stuff. Some people like to get in all the adventures. Some people like to like it's just like all the different groups of people.
Yeah.
You know, some people just like to sit on the beach and read a book type of thing.
Right.
But I think that's the thing is like there's so many different things, and that's why it's so hard to like say, oh, we're gonna do this because not everybody's gonna want to do it.
So, okay, then let's talk about the future of Good Journey. Looking forward to this. So we, full transparency, do not have a trip planned at the moment. There are, I feel like now kind of some anchor events that bring the community together throughout the year. There's HouseCon, which is a convention in Orlando. They're doing another one this year. There's the Galactic dinner that Chef Andrew puts together, which I think the location has changed from last year, and then they're doing it again this year in the summer. And then we have the group trip. It's been cruising primarily, and I think cruising makes it easy because it's one price and all of your food is
Everything.
included, your lodging is included. You really just have to figure out like how do you get to the port, like flying there and whatever. So it's a lot less logistics and it just makes it simpler because trying to find large group space for people, you don't want to do what other people are doing, right? You want to make it different. And we're cruise people now. It's just we've been converted because it's so easy. But in terms of like the future of the Good Journey trips, I'm very curious to see what other people think because I thought this one was great. I just feel like, and it was the same feedback from last year, is that it was too short.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a hard one. Like it's because there's different varying groups. Like some people like I can only do a weekend. Like and in my head, that's what I think. Again,
Yeah.
we'll ask you the
The
survey and stuff
Yeah.
like that. But like in my head, I'm thinking like some people may say, nah, I can't do like a full week.
Right.
But then others are like, yeah, I would want a full
Like,
week.
sign me up.
So it's one of those like, okay, where's that middle ground?
Right. Do you stay going out of Port Canaveral so that you can be close to Disney and you
I
can do a
think so.
pre-meetup in
I think so
Batu.
because that happened too. It was like
And we all
there
met
was
up in Oga's
yeah
the night before, and that was fun because it
yeah.
was like, oh hey, like some people came out that weren't going to be on the cruise, so we got to see like local friends. I mean, there's a lot to navigate with it. I would I would do this one again. I would do Utopia of the Seas. I would do the 3 night sailing because it's over a weekend. It's just difficult because there's so much to pack
I
into a 3 night cruise.
I think for me, my thinking would be more of wanting to try a different
Yeah,
ship, just because like okay, we've done this one,
yeah.
let's go try a different one together. Like we're doing it.
I saw you look at
take
me. I
take another
saw
drink.
you look at me.
I didn't look anything,
No,
but we would be together, but we get to do like something else, like something new.
something new. Yeah, I don't necessarily
So
want to do Utopia of the Seas again, but it's a brand new cruise ship. It's a 3 night sailing out of Port Canaveral, and so finding things that kind of tick all of the boxes for what I think our group needs, or what makes it easier for our group, because most of the people that love Star Wars or Star Cruiser are familiar with getting in and out of Orlando, right? So you
yeah,
want to stay somewhere close to Orlando. Maybe if you open it up and you go out of like Miami or Fort Lauderdale, that opens things up a little bit more, but then you have to take the Bright Line. It adds to expenses. Like there's a lot that goes into it. And so trying to just figure out what to do. But if I really like the cruise just because everybody's in one space. Like if you were going to go to say an all inclusive or something like that, there's way, way, way more limited things to do during your time there. Is everybody going to stay for the same amount of days? A cruise, you all get on and you're there for the time you're there and then you get off. So yeah, I will be sending out a survey to just take the temperature of what people thought of this one, the last one, and then what they would want to see going forward. Because I don't know. I can only like make guesses based off of like the trends that I've seen from last time to this time and our experiences with it. But I also think that we have a very different perspective on doing these trips because everybody that goes on this trip prepares in some sort of way. You don't have to. You can
yeah,
just roll up in your normal human cruise clothes and show up to the events if you want to and have a great time. But the swag that people made, they had a Together as Run 5K
yeah,
one day and had medals and bibs, custom
yeah. The
bibs
bit
made. I saw one that was like Batu. It was like
bad too.
Bat and then a 2. There was SK. There was
Yeah, I ended up getting the SK, and I think our son got the Tatooine.
oh yeah, the Tatooine. But so much love and preparation went in for pretty much everybody that went on the ship, and that just is a testament to how much these people love that thing but also love each other,
Yeah,
care for each other. And but for us, like the logistics and everything is way different to have to organize a lot of that stuff. And so for me, I knew in the moment doing these things, this is great, this is working out way better than expected. Even though we've got these hiccups and other things that are happening behind the scenes, it doesn't seem to be impacting the joy that's being shared when we're all together here. And but I don't know. But I'm also in my head all the time. And so I'm like I see people smiling, I see people having a great time. Are they actually having a great time?
yeah.
Is this a success? Are they disappointed? Is it those are the things that I think about all the
Yeah.
time. And that's probably why I was cranky before every event because I'm like, I need to make this work. All right, final thoughts on this cruise because I think we've talked through the logistics of it. We've talked through the importance of having great people come out to these events because that's what it is. It's bringing out these amazing people that are part of these communities. But what were your thoughts on this event specifically? You don't have to necessarily compare it to last
Yeah,
year.
I'm moving on. Uh, no, I enjoyed it. It's one of those things that, when I was chatting with people, we're starting to see that the finite amount of people that were able to experience it, and it's like, again, it's just that we got to experience it, got to enjoy it, and are sharing those stories kind of like through these other avenues.
Yeah.
And it's not everything, but it's like, this is what I took. We, took all this knowledge and made a trivia of it. Or I took this knowledge and now I'm confident in doing cosplays.
Dude, that trivia too.
That was
That was
tough.
tough.
That
I
was tough.
was like, everybody was like, did we go on Star Cruiser?
Yeah, Sherry and Stuart killed it on that. But it's just like those things where it's not, we weren't sitting there and lamenting about Star Cruiser. We loved it, and we are now like,
Yeah.
like it brought us together. And
As
drink,
one.
take another drink. But it brought us together, and now we're like getting to experience, life as like new friends.
You know what? That didn't register for maybe the energy of that registered for me. That sounds so woo woo. The energy of that registered, but it wasn't lamenting, and I don't even think I heard any like deep dive stories swapped about Star Cruiser experiences. It was just people getting together, and they would trade stickers and swag and all of these things, and you'd be like, oh, it's Gaia, it's Wani, it's this person, but it wasn't. Remember that one time that we all like, had this really impactful moment? It was more of just the spirit
Yeah.
of what it is, and that makes me honestly so excited, because we're moving on. Like we're dealing with this grief of losing this thing that changed so many of us, and we're getting to take the best parts of it with us and look back on it with joy, and not necessarily like sadness that we won't get to have that anymore.
Yeah.
Look at that. Way to summarize that. I cannot.
There you go.
Done. Bye. Next time. I can't follow that up. I will say though that just for me personally, like, it is such a joy and an honor to put these events on, because I know how much it affected people that got to experience it. People that loved Star Wars all of their lives and dreamed of getting to play in a real life Star Wars playset, and this was that for them. And to not be able to have that space anymore, it's truly an honor to get to be able to create spaces that are at least bring that essence of being yourself. Because I think it's so important. And this is my broken record.
We just need to
slap this
like
on a
have
sticker.
a boat where we could have it fully customizable.
Charter a boat.
Like, well, but it needs to be like, make it look like
We don't.
the Falcon or something. Or
On the
just
cruise,
like
though.
Yeah, I don't know.
That'd be dope. That would be super dope, though. I think you're dreaming a little too big. Maybe like, maybe 10 years from now we can build a boat. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna slap this on a sticker or a shirt, because this is something I say like every time we talk about community. But being able to find places where you can really be yourself and not have to mask or shy away from wearing the fun costumes or talking about the things that you really love, and you don't have to go into a conversation and be like, oh, nice shirt, and you're like, oh yeah, you like Star Wars. You already have that base connection formed. Yeah. And so it means so much to me to be able to do those things, which segues very nicely into other community trips that we have and events that we have in the works. So we have launched the Spooky Explorers Club 2025, which is going to be happening.
It's a different group.
It's a completely different group. There are some overlap. But it is for people that love spooky, scary adjacent things. So we like to call it spooky. It's a nice entry level into the paranormal. Because I'm not like super. I'm a little scaredy cat at times. I'm getting there. But we go and we do things like Mickey's Not So Scary, Halloween party at Magic Kingdom. We're staying at the Contemporary this year. We haven't talked about this yet. We actually haven't talked about it on the podcast.
Oh, well, there you go.
I'm realizing this now. So we're staying at the Contemporary for 3 nights. We're doing Mickey's Not So Scary. We're doing Epcot, and we're going to do Spirits and Spirits, which is a drinking around the world tour where we talk about paranormal events and activities within Disney and at all of the pavilions in the World Showcase. And then that night ends with a private, like, exclusive fireworks party, like a dessert party where we get to watch the Epcot fireworks. We have little snackies. It's roped off just for us. Front row view. You don't have to line up super early. So I'm looking forward to that. We also have like a tiki party for the welcome. We have the option to extend and do a ghost tour of downtown Orlando that's like private and guided as well. So
does that mean more work for me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You're
Together, I guess. Take another drink.
You got to say it this time.
As one.
There we go. And then the other thing that we have going on, which is a community event that's not so time intensive, is Mosh Isley. We have not one, but 2 Mosh Isleys on the books still. I mean, so if you thought that you were done working,
keeping me busy.
Go do a spreadsheet. But I feel like there's a gap in the market for a really, really dope event where a lot of Star Wars fans can get together on May the 4th. Disneyland does Star Wars nights. They're doing one on May the 4th this year. But we are doing a Mosh Isley at House of Blues in Las Vegas on the Strip. What?
That's super cool.
What? That's wild. Anyway, it's going to be super cool. I'm hoping that we can make this like a big event that people come out for every year for May the 4th. So it's reliant on you showing up. If you don't show up, it's a failure. Yeah, it's your fault. And then we'll be back at San Diego Comic-Con. Back over
because
with our
everybody
friends.
showed up on that one.
Everybody did show up, and so we'll keep going back. If you show up, we'll come back. So learn that lesson too if you don't want us there. But yes, we are very busy for the indefinite future.
Yeah, so, which is good.
It's
one of those things like it's good to, or it's fun to joke busy, but it's always good to be busy. So.
Yeah, I think we're very fortunate to be busy.
Yeah,
together.
As one.
Hey, there we go. I think that's a great place to wrap up this conversation. Then we've already plugged all of the community events that we've got coming up. So if you want more information, we will put links to everything in the show notes. And then we'll be posting something about the next Good Journey trip. I want to announce it soon. I'm trying to think. I'm like, when's a good time in our schedule?
Well, I mean, again, I'm surprised it happened in itself because it's celebrations this year too. So
I know, in Japan.
Yeah.
I think that there were a lot of factors that had to go into this and trying to make it like, that's why we made it on a cheaper cruise line. Like it was less cost to try to get people to go. And they did.
Yeah.
It was great. But yeah, if you're also going to Japan, I will say a little prayer for your wallet because my goodness, ours is
just wait.
Like just a dry SpongeBob. There's nothing left. All right. I think that's a great place to wrap this up. Hopefully we see you at one of these future events if we didn't see you on the Good Journey cruise. Anything else?
No. Until next time.